Hey everyone, my name is David Rao, and I'm the music teacher who blogs at makemomentsmatter.org. You can also find my ideas on YouTube, on Patreon, on Pinterest, on TikTok, and a variety of places when you search for my name, David Rao, or Make Moments Matter. Tonight I'm going to be talking about how I'm using um, some rhythm cards and some food-inspired words to get kids to come up with rhythms that they can read, play, clap, say, and then also how we're going to use that and include pitch, percussion, improvisation, how we're going to transfer that over to pitched instruments and have an accompaniment, and then also student-created improvisation. That's coming up in just a second. Before I get to any of that, if you hear about any resources, books, videos, anything in these live videos that you're interested in, there's a whole page on my blog that is related to all the things that I talk about. I call it the links page, but you can come to my webpage, makemomentsmatter.org, click the video tab, or just wherever you're watching or listening to this, there should be a direct link from there to the links page. Let's see, what else am I missing? If you are coming to the AOSA National Conference in a couple weeks, I'm doing a session there about ukulele as like an elemental instrument. Like, how can we get away from just doing play-alongs and chords and things like that, and how can we help in that teaching process and make it more interesting, maybe just a little different take on things. So if you're coming to conference, I'd love to see you there. If you see me around the conference center and we haven't met, or we have met, come and say hi. It'd be nice to meet folks. But that's coming up in a couple weeks. I think that's all. Oh, yes. Okay, so a couple important things happened this week, or happened today, that preceded the lesson I'm about to talk about. So the lesson I'm going to talk about is, for me, a third grade lesson. And honestly, as it was happening, I thought it was not going well because some stuff happened today. In retrospect, the lesson went really well. So that's why I wanted to share about it. But why did I feel like it didn't go well? Because today was the very first day of my fourth graders preparing for their big concert. Their concert's on Thursday night. And so today was like the first day where we were all shoved in the gym, singing, making music together. And you know, those rehearsals, they always feel so frantic, weird, like full of energy. And I don't know, it didn't feel great. And so I like left, and obviously don't have like a break in between classes. So I went straight from fourth grade to third grade. They're already waiting. My other, like trying to shove everything out of the gym, push it in my room. So I don't know, it just felt weird walking into class. Also, I had just put up a new bulletin board, and the one that I took down was my like, I love K-pop, we love K-pop, what is K-pop bulletin board, which kids have like loved. They've loved it. They keep asking me about it, which like means that it is a good bulletin board, because like they keep asking about it and keep talking about it. Kids, however, have been like, but Mr. Rao, what about like Demon Hunters? What about like Huntrix? I'm like, that's not an actual group. And they're like, what about Sacha Boys? And I was like, but that's not an actual group. Anyway, so I have an update, a new bulletin board that I'm excited that's coming out soon, but that's sort of Demon Hunters related. Anyway, so I had to take that K-pop thing down because it's now time for like Thanksgiving. So I was very excited to put up my making music Thanksgiving themed bulletin board with like little turkeys holding clarinets and little turkeys holding drums and stuff. But you know, like when you're doing bulletin board, it's like there are always so many things. So like, okay, I need the thumbtacks, I need the whatever, and like it just felt like, you know. So there was that stress too. And so there's just a lot of little things going into this lesson that didn't feel great. It just felt kind of weird. Anyway, also, Kristen on Facebook, thanks for saying, I love your lanyard. Okay, this was another thing that I had to change today because I don't know, I feel like I'm becoming like a lanyard person at school. I feel like I have like a musical lanyard for every season, or like we had a concert about International Festival and someone bought me a lanyard with flags on it, and then like people found out I really love candy corn, and a parent bought me a candy corn lanyard. Anyway, I knew I needed to replace the candy corn lanyard because time was up, and so I got this amazing solfege lanyard from Musically Minted. There's a link to it on the links page if you're interested, but it's just solfege in like rainbow colors, super cute. But I knew I needed to switch out the candy corn one because I mean, I could wear candy corn all year, whatever, promoting healthy eating, vegetables. But Anyway, so I got this new lanyard. I'm really excited about it. But no kids said anything about the solfege yet. Probably because they just don't want me to tell any of my solfege jokes. Anyway, thanks, Kristen, for saying something on Facebook. I'm glad you like. There are many other cool lanyards. Speaking of Musically Minted, by the way, this Friday, I think it's Friday, there's the launch of their new holiday collection. And while I have loved my candy corn coffee cozy, I've got a new for the holidays. But actually, I think this could go past just the holidays because it's really just like snowflakes and treble clefs. So I think I'm going to use this like well into March. Although I think I could still use candy corn. Candy corn is, I feel like it's still harvest season, but I can't find candy corn anywhere. Also, another shirt that's coming out in the new collection is, okay, there are many holiday specific themed shirts, but I wanted to get something that I knew I could use for a long time. And so there's this cute snowman and music notes shirt. The collection drops this Friday, November 7th. So put it on your wish list. If you go to Musically Minted right now, you can see all the cool stuff and you can you can see the pictures and things. And we go check it out. It's coming. It's happening. Okay, but that's not what we're here to talk about. It could be what we're here to talk about. It's all the cute music stuff. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about serious music teaching stuff. Anyway, all that to say, I had already a long morning before my third graders walked in, and I was like kind of stressed, concert stress. You know, you get concert brain. And I had a couple things to do in this lesson, and the lesson started out with a song we've already done before. And then we got to explore these like new instruments I'm hoping to talk about soon that I got through an education grant. And but it was like a new thing to me. So, you know, whenever you teach a lesson for the first time, it always feels kind of like, and then as I was planning this lesson, I knew that for the final part of my lesson, because I have an hour-long class, I knew I wanted to spend some time preparing so that I could take and put things on the ORF instruments, the pitch percussion instruments. And my plan was I wanted to have something that students could take and improvise with. So some sort of poem or a word chain or something that gives them a rhythmic foundation that they could improvise using that same rhythm. Well, in my lesson plans, I like looked at things I'd done in previous years, and I like wasn't loving everything. And so I was like looking and trying and exploring some more. And then I wrote in my lesson plans, I wrote Thanksgiving book. But I didn't find a book that I loved. I looked on my shelf, I couldn't find one that I really loved. So then I like went to the school library. I couldn't find a book that I found a couple. I was like, oh, maybe. Couldn't find one that I really loved. I looked at my on my online catalog for my like local public library, and I found a couple that like, these might be fun. I think I could pull some things. So I put them on hold. Obviously they did not come in time. So as I was going to this lesson today before school started, I was like, rats, what am I gonna do? Like I thought I was gonna like pull words from a book or whatever, and I didn't like my backup. So I was like, fine, I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna grab some rhythm cards, and we're gonna go with that. So that's what I planned to do. And my plan was to go and get these fun fall themed food words, and we were going to play around and create a little word chain. That was my intent. And then I realized that I had brought these home and didn't have them at school. So I was like, what am I going to do? That's when I pulled out, gosh, I don't even know where I put those cards. I have a whole set of cards that are like farm themed. I don't even know where I put them. And so I was like, fine, I'm going to use the farm themed words. Where did I put them? I don't even know. I can't find it. I can't find those now. So I pulled out these farm-themed words, and I was like, fine, we're going to use barnyard animals. And so that's what we did. Is I had kids get into small groups. I think groups of 4, and I had them take this whole set of words. So this is all food theme. This is what I intended to use. I used the farm-themed words anyway. So like green tractor, barn, woolly sheep, things like that. But I intended, and from now on with my other third grades, I'm going to use these food words. Is I had them take the food words and I had them choose 8 cards and put them in a row, and then they had to have one of each of the building bricks. So all these cards have the same basic patterns. There's either ta. Let me see if I can find the other examples. Okay. Oh wow, there's a lot. Ta, toddy, ta. There we go. ta, rest, and there should be toddy, toddy. There we go. So it's those 5 different patterns, and my students, I said you need at least one of each one, but you need 8 cards total. So they put them in a row, and then I said, great, now I just need you to go through and read those cards. So they went through. We read it. They read them together in their small groups. I clicked a pattern, or just a beat, a steady beat, and then they read to the steady beat. And so I said, you can put in whatever order you want. It's totally up to you. I don't care. But you need to end with a ta, rest. That's the only thing I'm going to tell you is you must end with a ta, rest. It just kind of adds finality to the little phrase. Makes it easier for them to finish and feel finished. But I didn't talk with them about that. I just said end with a ta, rest. Okay, so that's what they did. They went through and they did this. So as I'm walking around, I'm monitoring. I'm like, oh, the farm animal's not really what I want. Like I'm thinking all this stuff in my head. I'm going around. They're reading through. They're doing fine. Then I see kids starting like clapping, patting, snapping the cards, and I was like, what are you guys doing? That's like the next step. I didn't say to do that yet. But like, so in the moment I was like, wait, they're jumping ahead. They're doing whatever. But like, that's what I wanted them to do. So like in retrospect, I was like, oh, they're taking their previous learning and they're applying it. This is amazing. But in the time I was like, oh wait, no, they're ahead. They're behind, like trying to manage time and think about what we're going to, but like they were already doing it, which was cool. So they're going through and clapping and patting. Then I realized that my groups were just only reading the rhythms. Ta, ta-dee, ta-dee, ta, ta-dee, ta, 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 which fine. I want them to do that. But if I had wanted them to only read the rhythms, I would have given them just rhythm cards. I wanted them to interact with the vocabulary as well, because I want them to make connections between the words and the rhythms of the words, right? So like, I don't want them to just see peas. I want them to think peas and think ta, rest. By the way, I learned at lunch today, peas are like the vegetable with the most protein. I know everyone's like crazed on protein right now, but did you know that peas are like high in protein? I mean, not high. It's not like a chicken breast or whatever, but like, did you know that? Okay, it's your daily weird fact for the day. Okay, so anyway, let me find a better example than just peas, but I'm so glad peas can. Okay, so like baked potato, right? They could just do toddy, toddy, but I don't want that. I want them to think about the food word baked potato, right? So I want them to think baked potato. I want them to, like, what's another example? Pumpkin pie, toddy, ta. They could just go through and just read the rhythms, but I'm giving them these cards for a reason. I want them to interact with the rhythm of the word. So as they went through, I had them do it a couple different ways. I would have them read the rhythm, sure. So like ta, ta, ta-dee, ta. I'd also had them read the words. So like bread, roll, baked potato, cheese, pumpkin pie, whatever was in their chain, I had them go through and read those. I wanted them to interact with them both ways. I wanted them, because I want them to find the connection between words and rhythms, so that if I give them a poem, they can pull out the rhythm and play the rhythm, or they can identify the rhythm. I want them to, if they have a rhythm, come up with some words that might match, right? Like those are different skills. So I want them to make connections between the words. So some of them were going ahead and only reading the rhythms, and I was like, read the words also, then read the rhythms. Maybe go through and read through once of your little word chain, your 8 cards in a row. First read the food words, second time through read the rhythms, or whatever. Part of the reason was they were all rushing the ta, rest words. I want them to realize that in this chain, it's ta, rest, not just salt. It's not like salt, macaroni, it's salt, macaroni. They need that little rest in there. So it's like trying to find that connection between words and rhythms. Okay, so then what did we do with these today? So they went through, they made their little chain of words, they read through the rhythms, they added body percussion. Then you could pull out a non-pitched instrument, right? If you want to do like claves, or you want to do woodblock, or you want to do a go-go bells or something, and play the rhythm, right? And so then what I had them do was, I pulled out my iPad, I started taking pictures, I started projecting up on the screen so that all the other kids could see what they were doing. And we would take one group's chain of 8 different words, and we'd all read that rhythm. We'd all read those words. We'd all clap along to it with that one group's choice. And then I took a picture of it to save for later. And I went to each group, we did the same thing. You could absolutely do non-pitched instruments, if you wanted. Absolutely. And read through the rhythms, click through, play through, whatever you want to do. But then the next step is I took photos, because this work of like arranging, pulling, taking cards, finding and putting them in the order you like, this takes a little bit of time. And I don't want to have to do this in the next lesson. So I took photos so that I can hand out, print off or whatever, or get photos or whatever to get copies or whatever of what they've created for the next time, because then we're going to go to the pitched instruments. And let me just make my own little chain here. So let's see. Okay, so I need an example of 8 cards. Ooh. Okay, so my 8 I have in a row are macaroni, pumpkin pie, baked potato, carrot, garlic, mushroom, graham cracker, salt. Okay, those foods together would probably be kind of disgusting, but okay. So then what my students did was they then read the rhythm. Ta-dee, 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 ta. Ta-dee, ta-dee, ta, ta. Ta, 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 ta-dee, ta. And then they would clap or pat or whatever they wanted to do. Ta-dee, 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 ta. Ta-dee, ta-dee, ta. They did the same with the words. Macaroni, pumpkin pie, baked potato, carrot. So they went through and they did the rhythm, the words, did all that. And then I took pictures and then I would show them to the whole class, and we would do the same thing where we would read other people's examples. Now, I took pictures also so that next time I could hand out those pictures so we don't have to go through and arrange and do all of that. But next time we're going to take these word chains and we're going to make them melodic. So probably I would, set up in one of the pentatonic scales for tonight. I'm just going to do C pentatonic, Do pentatonic on C. So like macaroni, pumpkin pie, macaroni, pumpkin pie, baked potato, carrot, garlic, mushroom, graham cracker, salt. Like they're going to get to take what they've done and they get to make it melodic, right? And so that's just a little bit of improvisation. If I give them this like word chain that they've made, then they don't have to try and figure out just like random rhythms that they can play. They're taking these food words and they're making them melodic. If this 8-card word chain is too much, maybe just take the top line. Macaroni, pumpkin pie, baked potato, carrot. Macaroni, pumpkin pie, baked potato, carrot. Macaroni, pumpkin pie, baked potato, carrot, or whatever, macaroni, pumpkin pie, baked potato, carrot, or even just two together. Macaroni, pumpkin pie, 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 like whatever. You could do all 8, you could do 4, you could do 2, it gives them options. And then ultimately, what I'm going to have them do is some kids are going to play an accompaniment, just like a drone, a bourdoon, right? Macaroni, pumpkin pie, baked potato, carrot. And the other kids are going to improvise using these chains that they made. So today was the initial thing. They didn't know that it's going to go to the pitched instruments, and that's fine. But they made their creation. They came up with rhythms. They clapped them. They played them, whatever. And then next time we're going to add the layer of moving it to a melodic instrument, moving it to a pitched percussion instrument. If this is too much, if this is too many things, that's why we're doing this first step today. We're just doing the rhythmic aspect. But if this is too much to give them too many options, only give them like 3 bars. Mi, re, do. Only give them 3 bars. So, mi, la. Right? So like macaroni, pumpkin pie, macaroni, pumpkin pie, macaroni, pumpkin pie, macaroni, pumpkin pie, or whatever. Or you could limit to just mi, re, do. And again, while they're doing that, while they're improvising, the other kids are just keeping a steady beat, or maybe they're doing a bourdoon, right? So, but like that's kind of the ultimate goal, is that some kids are going to be accompanying and some kids are going to be improvising. Kristen says, does each student have a pitch percussion in the group or one xylophone per group? In the next lesson, we're going to put, it's going to be a whole class thing. Half the class is going to be doing that accompaniment pattern, and the other half is going to be using their pitch or their rhythmic pattern to improvise. that's like in the end. Honestly, what's probably going to happen is the very first thing is we're all going to keep a steady beat. We're all going to learn that drone on whatever instrument you have, glockenspiel, xylophone, it doesn't matter. We're all going to learn it. So they're all going to get that into their hands, into their body, right? And then individually in their small groups, I'm going to have them group together with instruments and play around with their patterns, their rhythmic patterns that they made today, and play with those melodically, move around, and then we will split and we'll have some kids accompany and some kids do their rhythmic patterns. Ultimately, Kristen, I hope that makes sense. So if you want that, if you don't have enough pitch percussion instruments per kid, that's fine, because you could put one kid on a half of it, the other kid on the other half, because if you're just improvising, you have your lower octave and your upper octave that you could have kids improvise, especially if you're not letting them use the whole instrument, if you're just doing like half, like one octave, or even just like 5 bars, especially if it's pentatonic, that's really easy to split up. You could also just have kids, some kids accompany, and then you could have kids switch on the improvising, right? So like maybe one group plays and then you pause and you switch groups, and another group plays, and while they're playing that first group, the kids switch on the inside. I mean, there's so many options for rotation and getting to new instruments, so you can try new stuff. But ultimately, it's gonna be playing on a pitched instrument the rhythm that they've already created. Like I said at the beginning, it could have been a poem from a book. It could have been something that I gave them, a poem that I gave them. But what's fun is when they are doing this creating, they feel ownership of it and they feel more invested in it. And it was cool today to, like, as they were going, to be like, ooh, they're already clapping. Oh, they're doing different levels of body percussion, because that's what we were talking about last week, is the different levels. Oh, they're trying to do this snapping. Why are they snapping? But you know what? Yes, let's try it and fail. See if that worked. No, snapping didn't work for that one. Okay, what can you do instead? It's fun to see that they were trying to get all of that. It didn't always work right away, but it's fun to see what they came up with. So it's cool if we have different ways that this can go, and so the different groups can do different stuff. And you could always, like, take pictures of these, and then kids could try different examples. You could give each group, several different things that the kids before in the previous lesson have made. So like, I might take pictures of all the examples today and give all the examples to kids next time for improvisation. Maybe I'll give them just their group or whatever, but it'd be cool to give them different options. Jennifer, you said this would be a great way to do an assessment too, if you have composition and pentatonic, one of your standards. Yeah. Yep. Or improvisation, right? So, or as you're just sitting and playing, or you could assess, if you wanted, you could assess the kids doing steady beat on just the accompaniment, and the other kids could just be, free. They're improvising, they're playing whatever, but you're assessing maybe the accompaniment, you're assessing their steady beat, or you're assessing their ability to coordinate the two mouths together. I mean, there are a lot of ways that you could assess if you wanted in here. Okay. The link to the food words is on the links page if you're interested. I also put the farm words because I had to use those today, so I'm going to put them on there. Also, the bulletin board I talked about, I'm very excited it's up. The turkeys and the make music, that's on there too if you're interested. Yeah, and next week I'll come back and maybe tell you, like, how well did the next lesson go, or maybe I'll talk about something else if you're more interested in that. But I wanted to share how this went, because I feel like all the time you see on social media, like, oh, this went so great, this is amazing. And honestly, in the moment, as I was teaching this lesson, I was like, this lesson stinks. This is not working. This is not what I planned. And then in retrospect, I was like, actually, no, they did really good on that. Like, I should be so proud of that. Like, because it's so funny in the moment, you're seeing things as you're teaching, as you're trying to, like, keep up with kids and seeing they're all in different places and think about the next step. So often I feel like we go like, oh, this is not really what I intended, or like this. But like, as I was driving, home, or as I was sitting thinking about the lesson later, I was like, no, that went really well. They really did read these rhythms. They did put them in good order. They were using body percussion. They were doing it in ways that I was hoping they would do. Like, it just, in the moment though, it didn't feel like it right away, but it ended up being really cool. So all that to say, sometimes it's good to let them explore and try and see what happens. And today was one of those moments. So we'll see if it goes just as well tomorrow. after another 4th grade practice. We'll see how it goes, but crossing fingers, here's hoping. All right, well, thanks for coming along with me tonight. If you want any of the resources, things I talked about in the video tonight, they're on the links page. Don't forget, Musically Minted has these cool holiday wonderful things that you can get starting Friday. Check it out. The fall launch, I think, starts at 5, maybe Pacific. So plan to go check it out. But go check out their website tonight and see some previews of what's coming out. All right, well, I hope this gave you some ideas, and I'll see y'all next week for another Musical Mondays video. Good night, everyone.